Hey everyone, this is Rocky from WeLearnChess.com, and the last couple days I had posts on checkmating patterns, the smothered mate and Anastasia's mate, and there are some other basic checkmating patterns as well, or I guess more like your skill as a chess player. You should be able to checkmate with a rook versus a king, a queen versus a king, queen versus rook, which is actually pretty difficult, by the way. Knight and bishop versus king, and two bishops versus king, things like that. So we start to learn these things a lot of times, but then they don't really come up in games too often, and sometimes we forget. So it's good to practice them when you get a chance. And when you're playing online, sometimes you'll play against opponents, especially I've noticed like lower rated opponents, but some opponents just don't really resign even when they're dead lost. Like, if they only have a king on the board and you're about to get a queen, they still won't resign sometimes, even when there's a lot of time on the clock. So, that's up to them. They don't have to resign. So, what I like to do in those situations is try to practice some basic checkmates. So, the good thing is that even though the checkmate patterns might not come up in your games that often, it's helpful, like the knight versus bishop checkmate and the two bishop checkmate. They kind of help you get a feel for how the pieces work together, how they can coordinate together, especially in combination with the king, and it can help you in some other endgame situations too. Like in one of my games last week, I actually used the bishop and the knight sort of in a typical setup where they box out the king with the bishop covering one color of the squares and the knight covering the other color squares. And I wasn't checkmating the guy, I was just like trying to keep his king out away from my pawn, because I had a passed pawn. And they protected the pawn for long enough where eventually I got my king around to protect that, and then the other pieces could free up. So sometimes the patterns come in handy. So okay, let's take a look at a game I was just playing here. This I actually played on Chess Cube. It was a 20-0 game, so there was just a ton of time on the clock. You can see here that I'm basically just winning now. I mean, the game itself isn't so important because I just want to show the end. But here I'm already up, 2 pawns. Most of my pawns are on light square, so it can't be attacked by the bishop. My knight has a permanent outpost on a light square, so it can never be taken away. Can't be kicked by any pawns, can't be taken by the bishop. The knight's also protecting like one of my only pawns that's on dark squares, and after this pawn moves, it'll be the only pawn on a dark square. It'll be totally protected. The king's also helping to protect that, keeps his king out. I mean, he's just totally lost. So he can't really do anything except maneuver. And, I just use this pass pawn. It's a common theme where sometimes if you have one pass pawn, you can use it to distract the king. And I don't know, I just was being funny, but, could have promoted to a queen or something like that. So, here he's just down a ton of material, and, now he's dead lost, and I could just get a queen here. But I had, 16 minutes on the clock or something like that, and it was clear that he wasn't resigning, so I figured why not try this mate. I haven't looked at in a year, or maybe not a year, I don't know, but I tried for this two bishops mate. I mean, I know I'm gonna do it eventually, but the challenge is, can you do it in less than 50 moves, fewer than 50 moves, and can you do it without stalemating the guy? So actually you can do this in about probably 15 to 18 moves if you do it very precisely. I messed up a couple times where it wasn't so precise, but that's exactly the reason why it's good to practice a little bit. And there's a great video on this by Chess Network. He's got nice videos on the two bishop checkmate and the knight and bishop checkmate. So I'll put a link to that to the two bishop checkmate video below here. Basically the idea is just centralizing the bishops, and I made a silly move here. Actually, that wasn't a good move. You want to box out first with your king and just slowly kind of keep this king boxed in. I almost let him out, so that was kind of silly on my part, but I realized my mistake here. And then you eventually want to get this set up here where you've got the king boxed in. You can see he basically can only go between these two squares at the moment. And then you move your king all the way around here. I was trying to make like a 2-hour, and you eventually go here at the right moment. So, he can only just shuffle, so you're totally safe here. You're not going to lose your bishops or anything. And here, this is a key move. You want to come to this square here, when on your next move, you can play the bishop here, because it's going to keep the king out. So it'll be clear in a second. So, like, if I go here right away, and he goes here, then I can't play here. He can just take it. And there's a chance of, me stalemating him. Of course, I wouldn't stalemate him, but like I'd have to repeat my moves. So instead, I go here first, and he can again still only shuffle. Then I come in, then he's still forced to shuffle, and now I can go here. And now he can't escape, so that's the point. He can't go anywhere except here. And now he's got to shuffle between these two squares, as opposed to the other two. And then here you just make a waiting move with your bishop, and you're going to mate him on the next two moves. He doesn't have any choice. He did actually let the clock run like 5 minutes, and I'd like refresh my screen to see if I was still logged on. And as soon as I refreshed my screen, like he saw that I disconnected, he made a move because he was like, I guess he was thinking he was going to, catch me disconnected or something like that. So whatever, if your opponent's being a little bit of a punk, then he deserves it. But and then he's made it here. And there's different ways that you can do this, and it wasn't totally efficient. I think I did it in took me I don't know, way too many moves, 26 moves or something like that. But not too bad for my first try in a while, and it was helpful to practice this because, again, it kind of gets you thinking about, the diagonals and the shapes and how the bishops work together. So, if you're playing a game online, you have plenty of time left on the clock, why not practice some of these mates, because it can help you, later on, maybe when you have to do it more quickly and you don't have so much time on the clock. So anyway, that was just a small tip, and I'll see you around for the next video.